Now, the lifting of the lockdown restrictions is good news for a bride-to-be in Doncaster who's been waiting to find out whether she can get married in church. Hannah Redioff spoke to us on Sunday Breakfast back in April, the morning after her virtual bridal shower. At the time, she didn't know whether her planned wedding to her fiancé Stephen could even take place. They were due to get married yesterday, but will now tie the knot next Saturday with a reduced guest list. Speaking on Paulette's show earlier this week, Hannah says she burst into tears when she heard the news, and she told Paulette about the lengths that she and her family had gone to try and get the restrictions lifted.
If you believe in something, then you need to do something about it. And we were quite, obviously not happy, but quite content that no weddings could happen and that it was officially locked down at the start. But then as things started reopening, it just seemed that weddings had been forgotten, or things like sport could happen, but we couldn't get married with 5 or 10 people. So, my father-in-law started a petition. I wrote to our local MP, the communities minister, our bishop, the archbishop, pretty much every newspaper and TV channel. I wrote to a lot of people. And actually, the church were really supportive. And most people were actually in saying that we really want weddings to happen, we're trying our best. I did everything I could.
Well, we can now talk to Hannah's dad, Reverend Neil Redioff. He's the vicar of Holy Trinity and St Oswald's Church in Finningley. Neil, good morning.
Good morning, Simon.
Is it right that you'll not only be giving your daughter away on Saturday, but you'll also be conducting the service?
It is very exciting. Bit of a logistical chess game, but we'll get there.
What an amazing feeling. How does that feel for you as a father and a reverend?
Well, it's kind of hit me this morning. I think perhaps because it's less than a week to go, but before I'm on air now, I was sat putting the service together for Hannah and Stephen, and suddenly became really nervous, but in an excited kind of way. So I'm a little bit giddy now this morning with excitement.
I can hear it in your voice, and I think that's wonderful. How will it work, conducting the service and giving your daughter away?
Well, we've got to maintain social distancing of 2 metres in church, so we've organised all that. We've had to risk assess everything. We've done all that. There's signage up, there's hand gel, there's all the things we need to do. But then I will walk Hannah up the very wide aisle that we have now, and then get to the front, and I will just turn around and face the congregation. It'll be interesting when it gets to who gives this woman to be married to this man, though, at which point I will ask the question. I will then turn round and stand facing where I used to be and say, I do, and then turn back around and carry on.
That is fascinating. That's fantastic. Has it been a bit frustrating, Neil? Like, you must have been so looking forward to this special day for yourself, and then this pandemic comes and sweeps the world. Has it been frustrating?
It's been frustrating, yes, if I'm honest. As a dad, you want your daughter's wedding to be fantastic, or any of your children's wedding to be fantastic, But it just got to that level for Hannah. I could hear it, that you could go and buy a sofa in certain Swedish companies, and yet you couldn't get married with just a handful of people in church. And I think that's when the frustration hit. I mean, other couples that I've had here, we've had to cancel weddings. There's been a lot of people in more difficult situations than we are who've had the COVID. It just seemed in the last month or so that there was an inconsistency in what was coming out, and I think that was when the frustration started.
So the wedding can now go ahead a week later than planned, and with 30 people rather than the 92 that were originally planned.
Which has saved me some money.
It's a fantastic... I mean, it's a great way to... the best excuse you could wish for, right? To cut people down, really. I mean, because there's no way around it for you. It's not like your finances are limiting it. But how difficult was it to narrow that guest list down? That must have been pretty brutal.
Well, originally, Hannah understood it was 30 guests. And indeed, it was mentioned on Radio 4 today by Martin Bashir that it was down to 30 guests. That's not actually the case. It's down to 30 people in the building, and that's government legislation. It's not guidance. So that includes me, the bride and groom, the organist, the photographer, babies as well. So it was really difficult to get down from 100 guests down to 30 people. So we've managed, well, I say we, Hannah's managed it and Stephen have managed it. It's been incredibly difficult. Everybody she's said, I'm really sorry, we just can't fit you in, has been really gracious and fully understanding. But trying to get 30 people in the building, I can get 140 people in there. We have chairs, so it's flexible. I can get 140 people seated. I've squeezed the 30 in, maintaining 2 metres. I can't get anybody else in.
Wow. And you're quite lucky in a sense that the church was reordered in 2017, wasn't it?
That's
So you've
right,
got
yeah,
no pews. Yeah. Does that make things easier?
It does, because you can move chairs around a lot easier. So I was able to get a tape measure and do 2 metres. Obviously, with pews, it's more restrictive. So I've been able to put chairs in corners and against the walls where perhaps if you had a pew, you wouldn't be able to angle it that way. So if we'd had pews, I don't think we'd have got the 30 in.
Wow. And is it right you're going to live stream the wedding to people outside?
Yes, we're going to live stream the wedding. It's going to be on. I think it's on Facebook. We're also going to put sound outside because we are expecting people to come and socially distance outside in the churchyard to welcome the out of church as well once they're married. Yeah.
I'm so thrilled for you all, I really am. We were speaking to the Bishop of Sheffield about the guidance from the Church of England reopening for public worship earlier on. What are you doing in Finningley?
We're undecided yet because I think every church is still waiting for the government guidelines. We've had some, we were promised more. The Church of England website was updated on Thursday saying that they're still waiting for more information from the government. But I normally have an average Sunday attendance of 65 in Finningley. I can get in when it's not a wedding for communion because of the space that takes up, 24. So how do we decide who can come and who can't? And that's one of the big issues that we're having to deal with. So it's tricky, but we're still considering it and waiting those government guidelines that haven't yet been forthcoming.
Well, may I wish you the best of luck for everything that lies ahead with the wedding. Neil, I'm sure it will be the most wonderful day, well worth the wait in the end.
Yeah, very exciting.
Keep us informed and we'd love to catch up with you once it's happened.
Yes, that'd be fantastic.
Pleasure talking to you. The Vicar of Finningley, Reverend Neil Redioff, and his daughter Hannah getting married on Saturday at the church. Beautiful. He'll be giving her away and conducting the service at the same time. Best of luck to the happy couple.